the stuff that we always do, keeping
Right.
these people waiting,
Whoa.
these kind souls. Yeah, don't want to give it away.
I don't want to give away the entire show. Good morning, Brother Steve.
Good morning, Brother Jim.
How are you? Are you filled with the spirit of the word of radio today?
I am filled with the bountiful energy of RF.
Awesome. And now Brother Steve will lead us in singing our good morning hymn.
No, I won't.
No, you won't.
We did not agree to that pre-show. I don't
be...
even have the hymnal here to do that with. Brothers and sisters in the chat, how are you all fine people this morning? How's the metaphor?
Okay. Right.
Are you wearing your prayer gloves?
Yeah, no.
AKA hobo gloves?
It must be cold there in...
It's weird, man. It's like in the 60s in the morning, and I have a can we talk about health problems? I have a circulation problem. My fingers, like literally, I could freeze water with the temperature of my hands in the morning. And then it's going to be in the 90s again today.
Yeah, it was probably in the upper 40s, I would guess, here this morning, but the days have been pushing mid to high 70s. And last week we had a couple of days that were already like, hello, it's 85 and it's April.
Yeah.
It's going to be
the number one cause, in case no one has noticed this before, the number one cause of global warming is the sun.
Damn it.
There's a 40-degree temperature change every single day.
We should be able to change that.
Yeah.
We should block out the sun.
Yeah.
Dave, good morning. Good morning to everybody in the chat. I said hi to a bunch of you before the show, but wow. So a lot of stuff to cover today.
Oh, yeah. We should probably just get right into it.
Well, I wanted to sizzle a couple things. We still have Coffee and Ham Radios, that other show that we're a part of.
That is not this show.
Which is not
Nor
this
is it
show.
the Monday Night Nuggets show.
Nor is it Monday night. We have delicious coffee available. Tio, if you could sizzle the product a little bit there.
We do. This is not my favorite blend, but it might be your favorite blend. There's no judgment. You do you, I do me. It's totally okay. This here is the Private Reserve, which is my favorite blend, and this is the one that I am drinking this morning. And we are all out of mugs. We're not doing any mugs, so I have to represent Townsend's with the Nutmeg Tavern here this morning. If you haven't seen that, that's a good channel to watch.
That is a fancy mug. I have eschewed
ceramic
mugs like that. I have a collection of really nice ones. I need to bring them on the show one Sunday morning. I have a charter member of the vast right-wing conspiracy mug from the Clinton administration that is one of my favorites. And I got a mug from the Hoover Fire Department because one of their guys was in a wreck and I helped him out a lot. And he sent me a bunch of Hoover Fire Department swag, which I never would have had, which is cool. And I never use mugs. I've gone to the double steel wall vacuum insulated tumbler style of thing.
If I drink that much coffee, I start to smell like coffee. It just starts to come out my pores.
I smell like cigarettes, coffee, and hate. I mean, I was in the fire business and EMS, and we're fueled by hate, caffeine, and nicotine.
Air Force.
That's how that works. And the military, yeah. So, 4-5, I'm not really a tea guy. I drink iced tea. I don't care for hot tea at all. It's just not my...
You know, 4-5, I have seen you in person. I have seen your YouTube handle. I know you're from the great state of Texas. And when you say that your favorite is loose leaf Darjeeling tea, one of these things is not like the other. Yeah,
it is a dichotomy. Yeah,
it's like having a peace symbol on your helmet with the phrase "Born to Kill" written next to it.
Right, and an ace of spades tucked in the band. That's right. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yes, Lon, Hoover, Alabama. It's a suburb of Birmingham. Well,
yeah, I can see that.
Tangerine energy from Yogi. There you go. I was going to do some pyramids, but my wife said, no, you're not building a pyramid over our house. So.
Great, man. I'm just glad the Clinton administration ended in 2016.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. The remnants of. So we have some slides to go through today. I've got a really interesting topic that I want to cover fairly in depth. So we need to get started on that.
We're never going to get through.
A few slides. I think we can cover this in about an hour and 45 minutes or so. We might go
at least. I mean, during the rehearsal prior to the show, it was an hour and almost 2 hours. So we should be able to get there. We can
Well,
kind of speed
if
it
we
along.
cut out the last 30 slides, maybe we can, and they're mostly just graphs and stuff.
Probably should cut out all the ones with text in them.
Yeah, there you go.
Just get right to the info.
I started making slides when I was in the Air Force in the 80s, and I worked at the Air Force Design Center. And so part of our thing every month was we had to brief the senior officers that ran the design center. I was in quality assurance, and you had to have slides. And woe be to the guy who read the slides to the colonels. That's you can put the slides up there, but do your brief and don't read the dang slides. We can read. The Air Force did let us be officers.
Yeah. I would hope that by the time you have joined the military, reading is one of those skills that you mastered a long time ago.
Right.
I mean, you get to carry a gun and defend the country. Sorry, I guess both of those statements are true. But you can't read. Weird.
All right. So slide 1, katabatic versus adiabatic, the effects of lenticular condensation formations within various extruded ferrocuprous extrusion deployments.
You want me to take this one?
I'm kidding. We're not doing slides. That was me screwing with you people.
So sound off in the chat if you love slides.
Yeah.
And
who wants me to
thumbs
read
down if you
slides?
don't like slides.
I don't mind slides. The slides are a great visual aid, and I taught EMS classes for almost 30 years. I taught probably most of the EMTs in Montgomery County at this point. And there's slides that come with the book, right? But I don't read the slides. I mean, it's like, kids, you're in an EMT class. I hope to God you could read at this point, because if not, I'm not going to let you near the electrical gadget or the drugs. No. I ask for epinephrine and they give me morphine or something.
So there's this human psychological thing that when I put a slide up on the screen that's a big wall of text, you go deaf and you start reading. So what's my value anymore? And if I read it to you, that's even worse. So like a slide should be a visual illustration of what I'm going to talk about.
Well, yeah, that exactly right. Because pictures are very useful in a lot of technical stuff, certainly in networking and things like that. Also in EMS, because
I'm with you, Ron.
Anatomy slides and whatever. But I use them as talking points. The slides are the outline for me, just so I remember to talk about thing or that or this or whatever kind of deal.
Can we talk about Playboy slides in Ham Church?
Yeah, sure, man. We're cool. We're cool.
Okay.
A water slide at Playboy would be entertaining, I think. I mean, if you're going to go Playboy slides, and somebody mentioned water slides, so I'm in. Whatever that is, I'm in. My wife is not going to like it, but I'm in.
Oh, John's here. Now we can definitely talk about Playboy water slides.
Right. I need a laser pointer. That's right, Hollywood. So we talked about, I've got some stuff I want to share with you guys today. It is kind of a show and tell, but I thought that was an interesting show that Carr did yesterday, that 8 presented on Coffee and Ham Radios. I have a couple things I was surprised about, and I see Hollywood in the chat and some other what I would call senior geniuses in here.
I'd say correct me if I'm wrong, but we know y'all. You will.
Right.
You'll correct us if we're right, too.
So, and I have not tested this yet. No, I want to do it today. But I have 2 specific things that I wanted to hit. And the first one was, coffee and sausage balls. Macy cooked those. They were pretty dang awesome. I was under the impression that in a power supply, the DC side was isolated from the AC. Now, in the one you tested, I have not checked them because I've got a couple of Astron linears, smaller ones, like a 7 amp and a 10 amp or something out in the shop. But I was surprised about that because I would have thought they would have been completely isolated. My daughter made them, you dirty old man. My 14-year-old daughter. No, it's Jimmy Dean or Tennessee Pride sausage balls with Bisquick and cheese and sausage.
I'm trying, Elsie. I'm trying.
They were good, and they were salty.
They were what? They were salty what?
They were salty balls, okay?
There you go. So Liberty, he did say it. Salty
balls. So they were good. I didn't know about sausage balls until I got in the South. I don't know if it was ever a northern thing or my mother deprived me. I'm not sure which, but dang, that's good. Sweaty balls, right? So, Hollywood, my question to you, since I know you're in the chat, is that a standard thing? Is the DC side going to be attached to the AC ground?
The ground, the DC ground attached to the AC ground.
Yeah, or to the neutral? Because I was surprised. I would have thought it would have been isolated at some point. And then the other thing that we talked
no,
about.
Lon, you're getting old.
We're all getting old. Yes, Lon, that is exactly right. She was 6.
She was 5 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. She was 5 years old 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah.
There's your answer. Grounds are tied together to satisfy the lawyers, I think is what he's trying to say, not the layers. But either way is true.
I was processing that against the ISO 7-layer model at that point. The lawyers.
The other thing, now cross-pollinated.
The other thing we talked about yesterday that I am guilty of, when I set up my station, I am grounded, okay? But I have my radio is strapped to the tuner, is strapped to the amp, and thence to the bus bar, and thence to earth ground. So my understanding yesterday is that's a bad thing. And I think I understand why, but I'm not entirely sure. Is that because you have potentially different RF potential from each of those different ground potential rather from each of those devices? And you don't want to tie them directly together because that sets their ground potential all the same.
But then they are all tied together.
They get tied together back at the bus bar before it goes outside. So I'm like,
yeah, the only reason why I would do it is because electricity follows the path of least resistance. So you want to give it that path of least resistance. I don't want lightning to strike my antenna, to flow in through my coax, to get into my radio, to go through my power supply into the AC bus bar, in the side of the panel in the basement. I want it to go to ground and bypass all of that stuff if possible. So you should, in theory, put a ground stake, 8-foot ground stake at the bottom of your antenna, and then another one at the outside of your shack, and then another one at the outside of your electrical panel, and have some kind of lightning arresting system, and on and on and on. But honestly, I just consider my antenna to be disposable at that point, and I disconnect it during a storm.
Right. Well, and you're in a position where you kind of have to disconnect it anyway at some point. Right.
Once a week at least, yeah.
Right. You haven't got that 160-meter loop deployed to better utilize 160 meters instead of that whip.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have my dipole properly, my 160-meter dipole properly elevated a half wavelength above the ground in the RV park. And I have my dipole legs stretched out, and I consume the entire RV park.
There you go. Seems legitimate.
No compromise.
Did you bond it to all the other trailers in the park?
I did. I secretly get up in the middle of the night and tie them all together. I pound in 8-foot ground rods at every single trailer. Yes.
Yeah, Christopher, that is exactly what I'm talking about, because that's what I've done. Instead of running 4 solid copper 12-gauge wires back to the bus bar, I have the cable that we showed yesterday, the braid, the copper braid, tied from device to device to device, and then the last device, which I think is the amp in my case, then it runs on solid copper to the bus bar, which runs on solid copper out to the ground spike in the ground. And I'm like, am I asking for a disaster here, or is this a matter of degrees? Is this the difference between a direct drive and a belt drive turntable?
Well, this is church, so you have to pick a religion.
Right. I mean, they all get tied together at the bus bar. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't see a tremendous amount of difference. But
either you ground or you're anti-ground.
I mean, I'm fine with ground, because ground is one of those things that don't hurt nothing. You're not losing any signal by grounding, right? At all. Grounding doesn't make you less radio awesome. It just grounds stuff. And it is a path in the case of an incident, right, to discharge the electricity. And I kind of get it on cases of things you plug in, because you don't, there's a chassis ground in there as well. And so that chassis ground is typically tied to the earth ground, the ground lug that goes out the power mains. So if something works loose or goes sideways inside the metal case and you touch it, you don't become the path to ground. There's a much lower impedance path to ground because it's tied to a ground via the case and the neutral line on the power line. But I just don't know that it matters. It's just less wire I have to have behind my radio, for one.
Jason, this is church. That's what it's supposed to do.
It's supposed to make you uncomfortable, or we are not bringing the word the right way. And, right, Jimmy just nailed it. Jimmy sees the truth. Yeah, exactly right, my brother. Exactly right.
My philosophy, and y'all know this because I've said it a billion times, is just have fun. Just get on the air and play radio. None of us are saving the planet. You can, if grounding is your jam, then ground to your heart's content. We have a friend who took his DX Commander and made it 100% resonant on all bands, 1-to-1 SWR at that specific frequency, because y'all know how SWR works. But I didn't. Right. I cut mine to the length that Callum said in the instructions. I got it on the air. I pushed the tune button and I made contacts. It was more fun for me to make contacts than it was more fun for him to find that magical, like, it's a journey. Enjoy it.
Right. And Night Cry, I'm with you on that. Exactly right. The floating ground. When I started playing with oscilloscopes on a regular basis, I spent a good bit of time understanding what floating ground meant.
That's where it really matters.
Yes.
Because you're going to damage your equipment and you're going to change your readings and stuff like that matters for that kind of thing. Let me get the link ready because I know y'all are going to want it. I haven't done the video on it yet, but I know how this stuff works. It's a ham related gadget. Present, share screen, Winder, that one, share, add it to the stage. Thank you, StreamYard, for making this extremely difficult. Elsie's asking, what do you do about grounding in a park? This is what you do about grounding in a park.
Oh yeah. That's cool. And that's not an expensive thing to add on to your kit either. How long is that pole?
Not
10 feet?
10 feet is the wire. The pole itself is 18 inches long.
Okay.
So foot and a half.
I mean, obviously it's not an 8-foot copper spike, but you could get away with slamming that in the ground at a park.
So the question is, what's better, the 8-foot spike, the 18-inch spike, or the no spike?
Well, so if I'm in a park, and this is going to be controversial, I bet. If I'm in a park, infrequently I am, you're floating. If you're sitting at a picnic table with your radio and a battery and your antenna, you're pretty much floating. The closest thing you have to ground is whatever your radials are laying out for your antenna system.
What equipment are you going to bond together at the park?
Right.
Your battery to your radio a second time?
Right.
Your antenna to your radio a second time? Your straight key to your radio a second time?
I don't see that there's any value at all in grounding in a portable situation like that. Well, what if there's a storm? Well, if there's a storm and you're out playing radio, you're a knucklehead.
You're stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Quit. Stop. And hopefully you haven't reproduced. So I just don't see that it does anything for you. Does it hurt anything? Again, no. Grounding doesn't hurt anything. I mean, unless you touch the hot to the ground, but I don't see that that's going to actually do anything for you. Let's see.
Tim, when he was out doing his POTA this morning on his live stream, probably had a little spike in his coffee because he said this correct. And then he went on to correct himself improperly. And then he came back to correct his improper correction of his properly correct statement that he made to begin with. Good morning,
Tim.
Tim.
Irish coffee this morning, son?
Yeah.
Little Jameson in the coffee.
Love you, brother. It won't go 18 inches. Yeah, it won't go into 18 inches in the local stand. So that's the other part of the problem is a lot of places you go. Yeah. I mean, like try driving a ground rod in Connecticut.
Ain't happening.
Try driving a ground rod in Wisconsin. The glacier gets in the way.
Well, and you've been in the Southwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very sandy soil. Very sandy soil. Yep. Probably not very efficacious as a ground anyway.
No, it's actually not. And that's one of the problems. I did White Sands National Park as an activation. And the first time I did it, I could not get the station to work. First off, I was on kind of a time constraint. But second, I didn't bring proper ground radials to force an RF ground because it's all sandy soil. And if you don't know about sandy soil, the RF reference ground is lower beneath the earth because sand is useless.
Non-conductive.
Yeah.
I think you mean CMC, Michael, but yeah, if you can kill CMEs with the choke, that is awesome. But yeah.
Coronal mass ejection. Yeah. Wow.
I don't think
How
that,
big is your ground rod?
and we're not making fun of you. I think that
No.
was a typo, but
No, I typo all the time. Yeah.
yeah. And we can translate Chuck on the fly because Chuck has one giant left thumb apparently when he types on his phone.
And all know about Ape and the Millers.
Yeah. Right.
And those aren't family friends. Maybe they are.
Well, it's a dysfunctional family. He said,
Yeah.
CMC.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of a big joke if you can.
It took me a minute to remember what
CME.
CME stood for. Oh, coronal mass ejection. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the ducking auto cucumber. Exactly right, John. So I don't know. It is a controversial topic, and several people have recommended Ward Silver's book. And I'm sure that it is a well-written book because Ward Silver's been around for a long time, and the guy is way smarter than either one of us, certainly. But it's like, at the end of the day, is it good enough? If I get a direct lightning strike, none of that crap matters.
If I was going to write a book, I would do exactly what Ward did. I would give you every bit of every single possible permutation of right, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah. But it goes back to what T.O. said. You can spend all your time grounding and bonding and driving copper rods and everything else.
And not activate the park. Yeah.
Yeah. And certainly for a park activation. Yeah.
Hang on. We have a sinner among us. I realize that you've admitted to your sins. Now you have to say 4 CQs and make 10 contacts.
Right. Hunt 3 POTA activators today. Because without us hunters, they're just out there talking to themselves. I'm just saying. See?
4-5 does get outdoors, though.
I think POTA hunters are underrated. Everybody talks about POTA. What about the guys who hunt them? Otherwise, y'all POTA people are just talking to yourselves. I've gotten Tim. I've gotten Gray Man. I know. I've hunted him 2 or 3 times.
Vince has changed his name. Morning, brother Vince.
Oh, my gosh. Vince
Ham's smarter with Vince.
He is way smarter than either one of us. And he's Canadian, so he's very nice.
Well, I'll give you the Canadian part. Yeah.
I think Vince is pretty nice. And he doesn't yell at us like other people do.
Right.
So
you're doing it wrong because you're not doing it my way.
We have some show and tell this morning.
Oh, do it. Do it up. Let's zoom you up so people can see this.
No, I'm gonna the overhead's gonna pop on here in a second. Let me jump into OBS and change that to that and jiggle this a little bit this way.
You could do the extra camera trick.
I've got to plug it, unplug it, and restart OBS. I'm like, nope, everything's working this morning. I'm not going to jiggle too much.
Not like last week. You were jiggling too much last week.
Unlike last week when, things went sideways. So I bought a bunch of stuff from this guy in Memphis. Me and Joe Britt ran up there and met him, and he gave me a Foot Locker sized box full of radios and bits and bobs and stuff.
Was it unlocked?
It was unlocked. It was a foot box.
Because if there's one thing I don't like in this world, it is an unlocked Foot Locker.
It was, yes, Sarge, it was unlocked. And so he had a whole bunch of stuff, radios and antennas and coax and whatnot. And so I have 2 mag loops. Aloysius is actually driving up to Montgomery this week, and he's getting one of the mag loops from me. So I'm going to get to meet him. I don't know if he's in the show this morning or not, but howdy if you are, Aloysius.
Yeah.
And but I have a whole bunch of other antennas, and I don't know what any of these are. So I thought we would take a look at them and see if we could figure it out. So I need to look at this camera and quit looking over at the screen. So this is a Soda Beams bag. I'm not entirely sure what this is.
That's probably one of their band hoppers. It's obviously an antenna.
Yeah.
You got 2 winders, so it's a dipole. Getting warm. You got a choke on there. What's the orange thing?
The orange thing. This looks like a strain relief.
Jeff has stepped up to the plate and called dibs on your junk.
Jeff, we can make a deal, brother.
Did I translate that right? Oh, those are the ends for it's either the center point or the end point. I can't tell which from here.
Yeah, I can't either.
Probably the center.
And I haven't unwound all this stuff, obviously, because Lord no. So we have Coax on it, and it is, what is this? What is this? Is this
174.
174? I think that's right. Yeah.
This is like 316, then 174, then RG8 in girth measurements, I believe.
Yeah.
No, Tim. He's not going to go outside. He's showing this off because it's available for sale.
I don't feel the need to go sit outside and talk on the radio. I hunt you people. So yeah, this is a Soda Beams antenna.
How is their yellow wire compared to the Coffee and Ham Radio's wire?
This is not silicon. Without unwrapping it all, you can kind of get some of this out. And I didn't wrap this, so I'm not entirely sure how he did it. I really don't feel like untangling this entire mess inside the house.
Well, I see the clip. So is that a linked dipole?
Let me unwind the coax at least. Macy's here this weekend, so I'll show her we need to wind wire. She'll probably think it's fun. She's
Put your kids in your hobby. Yeah.
She's getting smarter though. She realizes when I'm trying to, E4 sham shield something onto her.
Well, so here's a question for the chat. Is introducing your kids to ham radio at an early age going to keep them away from drugs, or is it going to drive them to drugs out of frustration?
They're going to go, why do you feel the need to go sit in the park outside when you can talk on the radio in the house? It's so much easier.
Okay, so that orange thing is definitely the center of the dipole for some strain relief.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a dipole.
And then there's a common mode choke on there.
Yep. So yeah, the two winders, that's exactly what this is a winder on each leg of the dipole. And eyeballing this, I would say this is probably a 20-meter dipole.
WC Custom Leather is Wes, right?
I think so.
Because he's going to go POTA today. But he says, look for him on the POTA spots page. So we need a call sign or some way to look for you.
Yeah.
And Vince is correct. Kids do love doing CW. They actually learn it a lot faster because they haven't shut off that part of their brain that accepts new knowledge like most older hams.
They're not geezers yet like us. They go, I can't learn this crazy digital stuff. It's too much for me. Yeah. So this is a dipole, and if I had to guess, I would say this is a 20-meter dipole.
Yeah, I can agree with that. There ain't a whole lot of wire there. That's what I like about the higher bands.
Yeah. And if it's not 20, it's going to be 10, I would say.
Ed, it's not this morning.
So let's get this out of the way. So we have that. And I agree with T.O. I think that's a Soda Beams band hopper kit on that one. So let's...
Wes, I'm just trying to help you out, brother. I want to make sure people know how to find you. And, I got to pass the time so there's no radio silence. Hollywood's here, and he used to be a radio operator, like a radio station operator, and dead air on the radio.
And Ed Cozart, I am not grumpy. This is my resting normal face.
Yeah, this is how he always is.
I'm never grumpy. Ape is not here. I'm not grumpy.
Right.
Ape's not yelling at me. I'm good, man. It's all good.
We're having fun, Ed. No worries.
So our next one...
Craig, I like it.
Is this guy.
That's an empass from Chameleon.
Is that what that is? Okay. Well, yeah, because it's got the big chameleon thing on it.
You're missing pieces of that.
Well, that's what I thought too, because what have we got here?
So it depends on which version of that you get, because Chameleon uses the empass, that white thing, a lot for a lot of their different antennas, but you should definitely have, well, the green stuff is wire.
Yep.
Yeah, so you put that on at the bottom of a pole or something and put the green stuff up in the air somehow, and then you've got yourself an antenna.
Now this is very thick Teflon wire.
Yeah.
That's a lot thicker wire.
Well, usually he's got like some Kevlar reinforcement in it too.
Or Kevlar, yeah. And then he has a very elaborate deployment system for the dingus, right? I love wire tie or zip ties. So this is the hybrid
That's
mini.
an add-on. That's an add-on mod, the zip ties.
The zip ties, yeah. That adds 3 dB right there.
Yeah. So if you unscrew the keychain thing on the top, it becomes a 3/8 24 mount.
Yep.
And then you can put this thing, he sells a little puck that you can do a 17-foot whip one direction and the 17-foot whip in the other direction. Okay. And there's a wire that holds them across the top, and he makes this delta loop, and it's pretty good.
So yeah, this is right. It adds $20, Handman. That's correct. So I would guess this is probably 20 meters as well. That wire's a lot thicker.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd throw it up and see what it looked like on a run an SWR meter on it. See what it looks
But
like
that's
on all
supposed
the
to be a
bands.
wide band antenna so that you should not need a tuner. But then you can run a tuner with it to tighten it up.
Right. Well, yeah. So this thing
5 to
is
1 usually.
stout.
Does it rattle inside?
Not at all. Oh wait, never mind. I can't tell what's rattling. There's so much crap attached to it. Yeah, it's rattling.
Yeah, because mine rattles inside too.
That makes me feel less awesome about it. But so a
Well,
hybrid mini.
Yeah, it's a bunch of toroids inside. I haven't opened mine up, but this is the same thing that Ziggy took apart from the Full Metal Jacket antenna. There's the reference to the movie again.
Right. Tim said he sent a picture on the Discord.
Yeah. So I think the best way to talk to Jim about these is to reach out to him via Discord.
Yeah, or shoot me an email. Tio, pull up the Cha Hybrid Mini since we actually have a name. And if you would, the Soda Beams Band Hopper. Because I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know if I have all the bits for these. I think I do. This guy, all this stuff was literally in a large plastic latchable tote.
Jeez. That antenna, well, that's no wire.
So we had the antennas, basically, they're all bagged. And then I have pieces of coax and stuff too. The radios. Wow.
There you go. That's with the wire. $265. You get the wire, the connectors, the mini. Yeah.
Wowzers.
And then the only thing you're missing is coax. And then you can get it with 30 foot of wire, 60 foot of wire, or 130 foot of wire for $310.
I've got pieces of coax. I mean, nice choked pieces of coax that are also in the box of stuff.
Chameleon usually sells their antennas with ABR coax.
Do they really? Okay. Yeah. That's good stuff. I'm not
so $265.
You know, I'm not all about the Italian coax, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just think there's a lot of cachet because it's Italian-made coax. I mean, if we're talking shoes or something, maybe Italian is better, but I don't see anything wrong with coax. And if you compare the numbers on ABR versus M&P, they're the same or so close that it doesn't matter. I mean, I know one of you is looking it up right now and you're going to tell me, well, the ABR coax is 0.2 dB more signal loss at 100 feet. Okay. 0.2 dB is like so close to zero as to be almost zero. And I don't know. I mean, I know there's some differences, but.
So he's saying that's good for 500 watts phone, 100 watt CW, and 50 watt digital. And it's 6 through 160, and it requires a tuner. And it does have the Kevlar Teflon shield on the wire.
Okay.
And all stainless steel hardware. So that's that one. And then you wanted the Soda Beams.
Nice.
Soda Beams, antennas.
Right, John? The M&P comes wrapped up with some real nice Velcro. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we've got another cami, too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see which version of the Soda Beams that is.
And then we have this guy. Which is...
That should be the micro. It looks smaller.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't seem to have anything printed on it, but it's the same kind of deal. Just smaller. And it's the same wire.
There's not much of a price break for it. That one's $240 with the wire. Check that out. So there's the micro, which looks like what you've got in your hand there.
So what are they selling this as? Is this an end fed or?
It's it's an end-fed or a sloper, 60 through
Sloper.
160. This one only does a 100-watt phone, 25 CW, 25 digital.
Okay.
So smaller toroids, obviously, because it's a smaller case.
Mm-hmm.
But their winder has a built-in Velcro strap, so that once you get it wound around the winder, there is a black black bungee strap to secure the wire to the winder, and then you never lose that because of the design.
Paul said he bought the micro for $125 like 4 years ago. Wow. So there's that guy. I got more antennas than I need at this point. Good Lord.
Well, luckily our government is on the task and they are working on reducing those costs, so that's on the savings to you.
Jeff, I don't understand antenna prices at all, because you look at some of these that are essentially the same thing as coffee and ham radio antennas, right? I have an official car Apollo. Well, no, I may have an Artemis, but it's the same thing, different winder. I've got the Aries, and I've got my official Poseidon, and I've got one of my prototype Chronoses where I used a different toroid than we are selling in the kit right now. And they're a hell of a lot less than $250. Now, we don't go 6 to 160. So I don't know what the magic is in that.
We also don't build them. They're kits.
Right.
And
That's true.
we don't have as many customers, so we don't have as big of a customer service issue.
Right. And this adds, and T.O. is right. He makes a very good point there. We're selling you a kit. This little setup here is a whole lot of production cost.
Yeah.
Compared to the kit wrapping a toroid.
And that little white cylinder thing is actually really nice.
It is. It is. It's very, it's got some heft to it. So when it hangs, it's also not going to blow around all the place either. Yeah, LC, that's right. We don't advertise worth of crap. And we are definitely under-lawyered, thankfully.
Yeah. Chameleon does do most of their sales to the government, as does companies like Flex Radio and so on. So that's another thing is the government has a law that says that they cannot sell it for cheaper to the public than they sell it to the government, which it's a law that makes sense.
Yeah, right, Bandit. So we have another Chameleon. This one is in a zippered pouch.
Yeah, those banker bags are nice.
And this one, I mean, this one even says Chameleon. I mean, this is $50 right here. So this looks like another dipole.
Yeah. With 316 coax.
Yeah, and this is a bigger dipole because that is the Teflon wire, but there's a lot more of it.
Well, you got two sides, so yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot more wire. I knew one of those antennas because I remember Robert, the guy I bought this stuff from. I remember him telling me that one is cut specifically for 20. I think that was the first one we looked at. And this looks like RG 316, I think. Or maybe 174. It's very thin.
Aloysius is saying that might be the off-center fed dipole.
Yeah, it would be hard to tell without undoing all this, and I'm not going to do that. Can you find it in the webpage?
I can take a look.
So, I mean, while this isn't strictly a commercial, I'm not ever going to use all these antennas. So if any of you guys are interested in any of this stuff, hit me up in email or on Discord, and we can...
Because these require going outside, and we know how that is.
I don't mind going outside. I just don't want to drive to a park and sit there on a stone bench and play radio, okay? Stop it. Leave me alone. Now I'm getting grumpy.
That's why I'm doing it.
I go outside all the time. I go outside when I mow the grass. I go outside when I go to my truck to go to work to sit in air conditioning.
Okay, so it is the off-center fed. It's 40 meter off-center fed. So one of those, not that you could tell from the way it was wound, but one of those should be wider than the other. Let me add that to the stage for you.
Rick.
So, and I wonder what his wind is on that toroid.
And also, if you guys are interested in any of these things, PayPal friends and family. If you can't do PayPal friends and family, negative, Batman.
Yeah, because it takes a cut.
It takes a large cut. And it's also going to save that, like I made income and charge me taxes on it. And it's not income because I bought stuff. I'm not making money. I'm rehoming things.
Yeah.
So yeah, PayPal, friends and family, or Cash App is fine, or Apple Pay is fine, but not PayPal goods and services.
PayPal friends and family does give you some buyer protection, but y'all trust Jim.
I mean, I'm not
the thing.
anybody.
It's funny. It gives you buyer protection, but it charges the seller to protect the buyer from the seller. That seems like a conflict of interest.
Grouch just wants the bag. Well, Grouch, that bag is worth $40 at least, right there. Just saying.
You can get a 10-pack on Amazon.
Yeah, probably a whole lot cheaper. And then we have another soda beams here, and I also have, and it's not shown, but Aloysius is getting one of the deltas, the Chameleon F Loop 3s. I have another F Loop 3, and it's the one with the hard aluminum hula hoops instead of coax for the outer radiator. So that's available as well. Because I just don't need these. And if nobody's interested in the F Loop, I'll probably play with it at least one time, and I may end up buying the auto tuner for it. Because the radio's in the house, I'm not going to take the flex outside to play with it, but if I could remote tune it, I would use it. At least a little bit. So this one has stakes.
3 winders.
Well, that one's got coax on it. So this is another dipole, it looks like, or another off-center fed.
What's the yellow, what is that, rope that's on the coax winder?
That's rope, yeah.
Okay.
That's rope. I said this was a dipole, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, you got the 2 yellow winders are the left and right side of the dipole.
Yeah. I'm trying to get this all untangled.
So that's a linked dipole. He's got alligator clips on there.
That's what I was thinking, because I noticed all the clips. Yeah. Yeah. So I would guesstimate this probably does, this looks like it'll do 3 bands.
Might be a tripole. That would be interesting.
40, 30, 20, 40, 15, and 20, something like that.
Yeah. Paul, it looks like that toroid is the center of the dipole. It's the choke at the end of the feed line.
Yeah. Paul, that's the coax right there going to this mess. So that's just a current choke or CMC choke, whatever you want to call it.
Or CME choke. Yeah.
Or a CME choke, potentially, yeah.
I mean, it will choke out some CME on its way to get vaporized.
Right.
Give its last dying breath to save the nothing. I tried.
LC, have a good weekend, buddy. See ya.
Slow and ugly CW. That's all of us. Yeah.
10, 15, and 20. So you could, of course, you could redo the wiring if you wanted to change the bands on it too.
Yeah. So they've got a couple of models of their antenna. They've got the Band Springer Mini N-Fed, which is 10 through 60. That's not what you have. They have the 2-band portable dipole, which is 20 and 40, which might be the one you have. They have the 3-band 20, 30, and 40, which I don't think you have that many links on there. And then they have the 4-band, which is 20, 30, 40, and 80.
I don't see this being enough wire for 80.
Yeah.
And I have, well, we should be able to math this out. This is 3 bands. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 alligator clips on this thing.
There shouldn't be 7. There should be an even number. Unless the last one is an alligator clip to attach it to your rope to get it farther, but that doesn't seem strong enough.
Well, and then this one has 1, 2,
Let's assume 6, so 3 bands.
Yeah, this has 6 alligator clips on it, on this one. So yeah, I think that one's to help fasten something to something. So
Soda Beams wants $100 for that brand new. And Kevin's asking if you have a list of the stuff that you're willing to sell, and I don't think he does.
I don't have a list, but because I can't really tell you this is exactly this model. That's why we're looking at it here. If you can identify it by the purple winder with 2 yellow ones and a bunch of alligator clips, I will know what you're talking about.
I get the impression that he just puts in, multiple colored winders, calls it a day.
Right. But we think this is a 3-band link dipole. The Soda Beams 3-band link dipole. It's got to be with the alligator clips. That's what that's for. Car uses, I think we're using butt connectors or something on ours.
Bullet connectors, yeah.
Yeah.
Cooley, you won the prize of being the latest person to join chat for now.
And tell us that you were late, Cooley.
He did. Cooley, hello, what did I win? Yeah.
10 QSOs and put 3 ends on your put new ends on your coax. That's your
We're considering being late a sin. I get it.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Everything's a sin.
Right. And then the bag, this is kind of cool. If that does what I think it does. The bag has this little pouch sewn in there. Yep.
Cooley, you've been relieved. Dave is now the latest member to the chat.
So there's a separate pouch to put the ground stakes in this little sleeve.
Cooley went fishing. Cooley thinks that fishing is more important than ham church. That's worse. Cooley has risen back to the top of the sinners list.
Yeah, I don't know. Fishing is peaceful if the fish don't bother you, which was always
right.
What I
the ham's
about
prayer.
Fishing.
I'm a ham. I can change, but I won't.
But I won't. That's right.
And the last part of that, the corollary to the ham's prayer is you're wrong. I can't tell you why you're wrong, other than I don't agree with you. I have no evidence to back up my claims that you're wrong, but you are wrong.
Exactly. Anyway, so that's what's kicking around. And I have some.
So you got 2 different soda beams and 2 different chameleon micros, hybrids. Not micros. One's a micro, one's a mini. That was 4 antennas you showed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. A Chom micro, a Chom mini.
Wow. That sounds like a good song, Hollywood. You should finish that one out.
I think there's another one.
By the duck pond.
Yes. There's another one. I got 5 antennas. The first one we looked at. Yeah, the first one we looked at.
So you have 2 hybrids from Chameleon, the micro and the mini.
Yep.
And then you have 3 soda beams. Oh, no, you have the off-center fed dipole. Okay.
The OCFD.
3 Chameleons, 2 soda beams.
2 soda beams.
Which one is best for D-Star? All of them are best for D-Star because no one's on D-Star.
You can do D-Star on whatever frequency you want and talk to yourself.
D-Star does actually work on HF.
It does work on HF, but I can't remember what the frequency is for it. I think it's about 29 something because Yaesu has. You can do fusion over HF as well.
Yep, with the 991.
There's like a national HF fusion frequency. And I
perhaps if we had some vast repository of knowledge that was searchable.
29 megahertz or something too. So Marvin is saying that he sent a DM.
Why is this on the Flex page? Really?
Yaesu. Oh, Aloysius said Yaesu's is 29,250. I was thinking it was 29 something. Yeah, I couldn't remember because I've had a 991 and I played with it.
Oh, Jim, we need to spend some money.
Oh, Lord.
Flex 6000 series SDR radio with a 3000 D-Star USB adapter.
Okay.
Because I was like, why is this on? Why is there D-Star stuff on the Flex page? But this is why. So there you go. There is the band, the calling frequencies. So 29,480.
Oh, they got multiples listed. Okay.
But this is a net. Sunday, so 7 p.m. Eastern.
You know, there's probably a whole lot less talk about gout and colonoscopies on the digital HF nets because that's going to eliminate a whole lot of people.
Yeah, there's a barrier to entry there.
Yep. So I have more antennas than I would ever use. Even if I did POTA, I would not screw with all these. I would use a Poseidon or a Kronos.
Oh, Marvin, I agree with you 100%. Marvin says his 2 cents is that the Coffee and Ham Radio's antennas, which you can get by looking at the Chiron down below, far outperform it.
And I've used all of them, But I really do like the Poseidon, honestly, because the deployment on it is nothing.
It's the
And
laziest antenna to set up. Yep, that's why I like it.
I'm all in on that bad boy. That's exactly right.
Well, I mean,
Because it
I
is
was
so
doing that
lazy.
9-to-1 for Ziggy, and it's like I don't have room for 41 feet of wire in my life. And the 9-to-1
Yeah.
worked great, but I mean, I legitimately have had that antenna for like 6 months waiting for a park where I could deploy it, and the best I could do was an inverted L.
Yeah. I used it. Well, I was telling you guys something the other day on one of our streams. I don't remember which one.
You're welcome, Cooley. I bet you can fix it.
I had mine with the feed point. Oh, when we were doing, when we had John on, Gendron, I had my Aries deployed with the coax running up the mast, and the feed point was at the top of the mast with the balun, and the wire was deployed horizontally over a tree limb.
Mm-hmm.
And that works. I used it that way for quite a while. The one I made before we even started selling the Aries, that I used LDG 9-to-1 for, and then when we came out with the Aries, I built the same antenna basically and ran it the same way, and it worked great. When I had a 706, I was using that one with the 706 and doing a lot of FT8 on it, and that's the one that I talked to Hamstick Eric on in Hawaii.
Nice. Yeah, 25 feet of wire on the Poseidon's fairly easy to set up. Any 10-meter mast, you don't even have to fully erect it. You can kind of limp it in.
He said erect, and then he followed it up with limp.
We're talking about antenna masts.
And if you're doing POTA or SOTA, either one, well, probably not SOTA so much, but the deployment takes 3 minutes. I mean, it's nothing to throw that thing up, literally. I mean, if you want to get fancy and use guy ropes on it and stand it up free, then that probably makes it more complicated. That does make it more complicated, but now it'll take 10 minutes instead of 3. Literally, when all the time we were testing the Poseidon and then testing the Kronos builds, I have the Gigaparts fiberglass mast leaning between the limbs of a magnolia tree so that it won't fall over or get blown over, and it's sitting on the ground.
It's the magnolia.
So the magnolia gives good dB. Works great, and it also works with a carbon fiber mast as well, because carbon fiber it may interact, but it doesn't interact in any significant way. Again, belt drive versus direct drive turntable. And there may be somebody in here who's old enough or who cares enough about that conversation. But I had a nerd stereo friend back in the 80s when I was in the military, and he was all about his belt drive turntable or direct drive, whichever one I didn't have.
Well, yeah, with the belt drive, you get that little twang as the belt stretches. It's great for country music.
I don't know. I don't even remember, because I thought it was crap back then that he was going on about. I'm like, Walt, no one cares.
Well, so here's the really bad part. So like belt drive turntables had been in existence, I'm making numbers up, for 100 years, and everybody swore by them and they were great. And then the first direct drive came out, and it had this crappy stepper motor that gave out and started to slow down its spindle rotation speed and got a bad rap. And so everybody at the time didn't like the new technology, but new technology gets better. I'm sure that the original turntable that was hand crank outperformed the original belt drive turntable when the first conversion was made. I mean, hook the belt drive up to your PTO and run it at about 300 RPM, and that should, with all the right gear ratios and reductions, you should be able to get down to 33 RPM. Should be fine.
Well, and the point that I make with that story is, if you play the same piece of music on Walt's very expensive BX purchase, just like my cheap turntable, it sounds the same to me. I can't tell the difference.
Either one, Paul.
There's
a ham church channel.
Just direct is fine. If you're on Discord and know how to do a DM, that works. Or drop a note.
Jim is here to take your money.
Well, I'm here to take your love offering, brothers and sisters, because without your love and support, we cannot bring our word to you every Sunday morning.
Spread the love and joy of RF.
So I'm thinking that there has not been a much love shown this morning. I'm just saying. A lot of
Y'all
harshing
are
my
sinners.
buzz on the POTA thing.
Heathens.
Because the Lord is going to take me home unless we can build an ivory tower somewhere. I think somebody
78
said that one
RPM
time.
Bakelite Records. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't have the little
Oh, there we
dude
go.
mask.
Thank
I
you,
don't know
John.
what that is. Thank you, Brother John. Pass
Little
the
dude
plate.
is a dude's copy clone of the POTA 20 from Chameleon.
Okay. I've got the POTA 33 from Gigaparts. I have the KMRD POTA 33.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the carbon fiber one that I have.
Yeah, that's the proper one.
And then I've got the Gigaparts fiberglass mask.
Holy moly, Paul! Whoa, David, Temecula Dave. Let's start off there.
Sisters, thank you. I haven't seen Elodie this morning or Pamela.
Yeah.
That's all.
So
all
Paul gifted 10 memberships, and Paul got one of his gifted memberships. I sense a little conflict of interest. Dave got one. Jeff Wingett got a membership. Jeff N4POD. Chuck WJ4K. David KD9WTA. Chris W8OX. Tom KZ8TO. The hits keep rolling in, folks. Sean Fischera. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, it's my fault. Was gifted a membership. Herbert Crosby. There's a proper radio name. Let's see. I think I was behind on the... Yes, Paul, you were. Thank you.
That's right. Quit hiding out in the back with all the Baptists.
All of our new members. And they'll get in...
I know.
Because they got in today. They'll get in on the FEP Labs members only meeting.
Right, which will be this Wednesday. And I'll push
accidentally get in on the Coffee and Ham Radio's members only meeting.
Yep. We were supposed to have ours last week, and I don't remember. So I had something going on. I don't know. Having a teenage daughter is this or that.
At least Paul is gracious enough to thank himself.
Right.
And if you haven't seen Prep Ham Paul's YouTube channel, you should check that one out.
Right.
He's talking about Wiggly RF. Magic Wigglies in the atmosphere.
Did we mention Dave? Because
we did.
Dave. Okay.
We did. I got him right before the onslaught of Paul.
Right. And Brother Marvin, of course, thank you again, sir. Appreciate it. So I like all these antennas. I mean, they look like they're going to be fun to play with, but for me, that's all I'm ever going to do is set them up and play with them for a little while. If I still have any of them come field day, I may set up on a battery out in the carport and Well, the problem is where to deploy it. So my house is surrounded by power lines on 3 sides.
At a park.
No. And I'm not driving halfway across the state to go sit in the park and play radio. I'll play radio right here.
Let's see.
I know there's one up in Wetumpka, the Fort Toulouse Park.
Because you knew I was going to look at the map.
I know you are. And the Lowndes County Wildlife Management Area Park, which is full of feral pigs and ticks.
TICKS.
Yes. TICKS. Yes.
So you're like right outside of Montgomery, right?
I'm south of Montgomery. I'm just south of Montgomery.
Greenville?
That's about 30 plus miles away. Yeah.
Farther south? Here in the middle? There it is.
Oh, no. I'm only about 15 miles south of Montgomery. Greenville's 30 miles south of me. Go to I-65, follow I-65 south just a little ways, and you'll see Hope Hall, and that's my exit. Dave, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. And Dave,
thank you, Dave.
I emailed you back. We want to get you back on Coffee and Ham Radios, so I haven't heard back from you, but I gave you a couple of dates.
Abruptly disappear from the stream again, the missus is putting the RV away because we're moving today.
Oh boy. Well, she waited at least until everything's mostly over, right?
I told her, don't unplug this time.
Aloysius, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, there are no parks close to where you are.
No.
Not close enough to be bothered with. Whitehall, Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail. That sounds like it involves walking.
That's a road. I don't think that's a park.
Thigpen Hill Nature Recreation Area. What a great name, Thigpen.
Yeah.
And then
Ham
Fort
Man.
Lucy.
Exactly right. No Farm with Pigs. I've seen that movie. Exactly. Yeah, so the Lowndes County Wildlife Management Area is officially a park on the POTA list. And I'm like, the guys who did this must not have ever been here or actually looked at what it is. Because it's like a ranger trailer and a fence. And there's a driveway outside where the trailer's at. And then there's nothing. It's, if you want to go hunt feral pigs, you can go there and hunt feral pigs or coyotes. All you want, but it is ate up with feral pigs, which are ate up with ticks. And I'm not wading into the bush to play on the radio. Now, if the parking lot counts, maybe, but there's not even any tables there. It's literally a gravel parking lot and a trailer. That's it. It's just not my jam, boys. And if y'all like to go POTA, then POTA on. I will hunt.
All right.
All right. Well, fellas, I think we're at the end of the show today. It was reasonably rant-free, and Mrs.
I've reached bladder full 30.
Right, I hear you. It's time for a Newport. Anyway, y'all, thank you very much for coming. We will. Oh, I'm working on a video. I do want to mention this one thing before Steve gets disconnected. I'm going to be putting out a video in the next day or two with the 857 and a potential replacement for the jacked up screen on the 857, which I am looking forward to. So be looking for that one.
Nice.
I might go outside. I might go out to the outside and use the screen outside so you can see me outside using a radio at the same time. Anyway, y'all, thank you very much.
It's going to be AI generated.
Yeah, exactly right. See you guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Engaged.